Christmas, most people's favorite holiday. It's full of tradition and symbolism. And we have a few questions.
Why does Santa live at the North Pole? How do we know what he looks like? How big is his workshop? And why reindeer?
Let's dig into this.
Well, the simple answer is no one really knew what the North Pole looked like until the early stories of Santa were being written. There had been expeditions as early as 1472, and of course the Viking sagas tell of Eric the Red sailing to Iceland and Greenland. But the first person to reach the North Pole was Robert Peary in 1909, and his expedition didn't report anything about seeing Santa.
Santa's workshop needed lots of space and privacy, of course. The lands of ice and snow, like the Nordic countries, northern Canada, and even Alaska, were mysterious and remote. And with a little imagination, the North Pole became a magical home for Santa and Mrs. Claus and the reindeer and elves.
Artist Thomas Nast may have been the first one to actually place Santa's home at the North Pole when his illustration called Santa Claus and his works in Harper's Weekly magazine in December of 1866 had the caption Santa Clausville. When Nast and George Webster published a color collection of Nast's illustrations in 1869, he described Santa's home was near the North Pole.
Many people believe Coca-Cola created the image of Santa to sell soda pop, but it's much more complicated than that. The story of Santa goes all the way back to the real St. Nicholas, around the 3rd century. He was either a monk or a bishop, depending on the source, and was well known for traveling the countryside, helping the poor and the sick. He died on December 6th, which has become known as St. Nicholas Day, and was canonized a saint in 1446. He is the patron saint of children and sailors.
And the story of St. Nicholas evolved over the centuries into our own Santa Claus. Until about 1930, Santa had many different looks. Often, he was a tall, thin man like St. Nicholas himself, or a small elf. He could wear anything from bishop's robes to furs.
In the early 1800s, Santa began appearing in newspaper and magazine stories. And in 1841, children could see a life-size model of Santa in Philadelphia. And then, thanks to artist Thomas Nast drawing for Harper's Weekly magazine beginning in 1862, Santa started to become the jolly old elf we all recognize. Nast drew over 30 illustrations for the magazine, and Santa turned into the chubby, pipe-smoking, bearded man we all love.
Clement Moore's 1823 poem, The Night Before Christmas, filled in the details. Here we get the descriptions of twinkly eyes and rosy cheeks, and a round belly that shook like jelly when he laughed. When we get 8 tiny reindeer and their names, and see Santa come down the chimney too.
108 years later, Coca-Cola hired Haddon Sunbloom to depict Santa for their Christmas ads. Inspired by The Night Before Christmas, he painted Santa in all his jolly glory. And this is the Santa we know to this day.
Even with Santa only giving one toy to every good little boy and girl that celebrates Christmas, that's still an enormous number of toys to make every year. Santa Tracker says there are more than 110,000 elves at Santa's workshop. That seems like a lot until you look at David Brooks from Granite Geek's numbers. He did the math.
According to Brooks, in 2015, the 600,000 elves he estimates are needed to complete toy construction each year would have had to make 1.2 billion toys. And he estimated the elves, working 40 hours a week for 50 weeks a year, would have to finish one toy every single hour. No wonder they needed 2 weeks vacation.
Brooks also calculated the workshop would need to be 1.2 million square feet and storage for the toys would need to be 1.2 billion cubic feet. He estimated the workshop and warehouse would take about 2 square miles of land. And this doesn't include housing for Santa, Mrs. Claus, or the elves, or stables and corrals for the reindeer.
Reindeer are traditionally used to pull sleds or sleighs in northern Europe, so it's no surprise Santa would use them. With their large eyes, soft fur, and large feet perfect for snow and ice, they are beautiful and fast. At a trot, they can average about 25 miles an hour, and if necessary, they can double that speed for a quick getaway.
Reindeer were first identified as pulling Santa's sleigh in an anonymous book written in 1821 called A New Year's Present. To the little ones from 5 to 12, number 3, it is said one reindeer managed to pull Santa over the chimney tops. 2 years later, the book, The Night Before Christmas, changed everything with 8 tiny reindeer.
But Rudolph didn't enter the story until Robert L. May wrote Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer for a coloring book given out to children by Montgomery Ward Stores in 1939. 10 years later, Gene Autry would record a song based on that story and have a #1 hit. And in 1964, the Rankin and Bass Productions Christmas TV special, in all its colorful stop animation glory, made Rudolph who he is today. Still my favorite.
We hope you enjoyed this video. Let us know your questions about Christmas in the comments.
And thanks for watching. Hey, here's another DragonDen video you might like.
And if you like this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button.
And you can hit the notification bell if you'd like to know when our videos come out.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.